carry on. So then, basically, people seem to arrive. They just seem to come out of the woodwork, as it were. These were really, like, really sick people. And I was working on people with neurological complaints that had these twitches, and I would work on them, and within half a session the twitches would start to go and stuff like this. So it was very, very profound what was happening. And I had a successful business, as I said, so I didn't charge any money because I didn't have to. And I was so keen. God. If I heard someone needed a healing, I'd travel like 150 miles. Give them a healing, now travel back and say, can we give you some gas money? No, 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 no. Penny will cross this bound. That was when I had money. So I was doing this, but my business started to get very difficult to run because I'm going into these meetings and I'm seeing these people that are trying to harm me, and I'm going, that guy's kidneys are dead. Concentrate, this guy's trying to wipe you out. So it got difficult, and I was, became more successful, and I actually won an award with my brother as having the best company in Scotland for what we did in construction in 1998 or something like that. But anyway, I basically finished these contracts, went back to London, decided I was done, and I wanted to go somewhere else. So I went south, to the south coast of England, to a little, what used to be a fishing village, and I lived there, and I met this lady in a city called Bournemouth, and she basically opened up her home for me for healing. She would find all the different people, and then I would come through and do these healings twice a week. And we were getting like phenomenal results. I mean, it was just astonishing. Like, there were cases of where this one lady came in, interestingly enough, she had arthritis, interestingly enough, and she came in on 2 sticks, and she came in, and we worked on her and everything else, and she walked out holding these sticks, and I'm like, the canes, and I'm like, wow, that's just amazing, don't you think? And the lady was going, no dear, it's because what this gifts you've been given. She was always encouraging me. She said, no, I'm not surprised at all with what you do, because she had this vision, this lady, that she had known me for, she was waiting all her life for me, and I saw her with it, and within a couple of minutes I had taken something out of her back that psychically, and she'd had that for 34, 35 years or something, and she just said, I've been waiting all my life for you. Not all my life, but a great deal of it. So this went on. So what it was, I was learning. I was learning about what I had, and I understood that this could either be mind, body, or spirit. I really was concentrating on the physical. I wanted people to physically get a benefit of what they were doing, of their ailment. And I was getting that. But what was happening was that this was like my apprenticeship, and I was starting to develop, and I was starting to develop the other senses, and so I started to become clairvoyant. And I also started to hear, see, and feel. Now, the feelings were always my strength. That was always because the barometer, everything I do is linked to the heart. It's the heart that actually tells me what's going on. And so, but what I didn't understand was that it was starting to come in all directions. And with all this work I was doing, that the gifts were getting, they were broadening. So I'm going to try and look at this, because I never do, because I just normally talk and away I go. But so basically, what I understood was that here I've been given a reasonable mind. I'm not brilliant by any shape or form, but I can pretty much grasp most concepts that come my way. The problem is through the abuse I've had. I'm like an ex-alcoholic. I haven't drank for 34 years. Drug addict. I've been strung out on different drugs and all that. And my memory's rubbish. But I can grasp it. I can grasp it. My problem is I can't remember it. Okay, it's just the way it is. But that, to me, that's okay, because one of the things about going through difficulties in life is that when people walk in, you can relate to them. You can sense their plight. So someone walks in here, or someone's got like a drinking problem, I go, yeah, well actually, When I was 26 years old, I attempted murder. Failed miserably, couldn't even stand up, it was in my heart, and I never drank again, because I knew I had a serious illness. And in fairness to me, I think it worked so hard to give it up. It was so hard. So when someone walks into me with a drinking problem, I can at least empathise with their plight, because I get it. Or a heroin addict, or someone's into all these different things. I have an idea what's going on. Grew up in a very abusive background, all these things. So you can look at it and go, well, that's terrible that you've been involved in that. On the contrary, on the absolute contrary, it's fantastic for what I do that I can relate to that, because there's so many things that you can relate to as people that are struggling. You know, I mean, I am now an okay guy, but when I was drinking, I was like a Jekyll and Hyde. I was horrible, foul. Well, so I can relate, and I can also relate to someone that finds it really hard to stop. So that was a really good thing that I understood that. But I always understood that everything is governed by divine laws. There are universal laws that just are. If I drop those glasses, they're going to fall to the ground. If I drop a weight, it's going to fall to the ground at a different speed because it has a different height, this angle and everything else. These are just immutable laws. So if it's a really serious weight there, it's really nice if you can get your foot out of the way. That's the sort of thing I understood, because it's going to hurt you. Whereas if it's these glasses, not quite so bad. So I always understood that everything was governed by laws. And I had these gifts, phenomenal gifts that just were what they were. And I thought, okay, so I understand what's happening on a phenomenal level, in that it's happening, but I don't understand what's happening scientifically. I need to try and get a grasp on what this is all about. So the lady that I was working with 2 afternoons a week in Bournemouth, she said to me, you know, you need to go to Brazil. And I said, well, why would I want to go to Brazil when all these wonderful things are happening, and it's all love and light and goodies? And she said, and I read this book, and it was like, this was to do with different entities and what they do and this. And I'm like, whoa, I don't know about that. I'm not so sure I want to know anything about that. So it ended up that I said, I'll tell you what I'll do, because I love this lady. I said, I'll read the book tonight and I'll make a decision. And I actually thought I was going to pull out, but I thought I'd give it that. So I'm looking at this book, I'm starting to read it, and I thought, oh, I've only got to go to Brazil. I've got to do this. So I contacted the publishers, because this is a very controversial subject. I contacted the publishers, and they put me onto this lady who was a translator for the World Health Organization in Switzerland. And I spoke to her, and she said, well, this book is like a manual. And I said, well, look, I have these gifts, and I'd like to learn more about what's going on. So she said, well, I'll put it to, hi there. Yeah. She said, I'll put it to the committee that convened on a Saturday morning, and we'll see what they say. And if they want you, they'll say yes, and if they don't want you, they'll say no. And I had no doubt. And I said, well, if they're the real deal, they'll probably want me, because why not? I mean, I'm only going to try and help. So she got back to me and said, yeah, they'll see you. So I ended up booking this ticket. So because I've been a global traveller for all my life, I looked at this, I'm going to Brazil, and I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to go to Argentina, and I'm going to go to Bali, and I'm going to go to India, and I'm going to do a round the world trip. I thought, oh, I like this is great. And I was going to go and serve and do what I could in all these countries, because wherever I go, I serve. It's just the way it happens. So I went to Brazil to find out that at this house, they have, I think, about 100 mediums working on the books. But not working,